"Get in, let me take you home." Single mom helps an old man walk in the rain. The next day, his heiress son came. The rain was coming down in sheets, slapping hard against the windshield like a warning. Streetlights blurred in the downpour as Lila Thompson squinted through the streaked glass. Her old sedan groaned with every turn, windshield wipers squealing as they struggled to keep up. The hour was late, almost midnight, and the silence in the car was broken only by the rhythmic breathing of her 5-year-old daughter, Maya, curled up in the back seat in her pink dress, asleep with her small shoes dangling off the edge of the seat. Lila's blonde hair was pulled back into a low, tired knot. Her waitress uniform still smelled faintly of grease and coffee. She was exhausted, her back aching from another long shift at the all-night diner. All she wanted was to get home, dry off, and sleep for a few hours before the next day started all over again. Then she saw him. At the edge of the sidewalk, barely visible in the downpour, an elderly man stood hunched under the weight of the storm. He had no umbrella, no raincoat, just a soaked wool blazer clinging to his thin frame. One hand gripped a lamppost for balance, and the other trembled as he looked down at a phone, clearly dead or without service. Lila's foot eased off the gas. She hesitated. This part of town was quiet, but not unfamiliar. Still, helping strangers in the middle of the night was something the world had taught her to be careful about. Her hands tightened around the steering wheel. But then she saw his shoulders shake, not from the cold, though he was clearly freezing, but from fatigue, maybe even fear. Lila sighed softly and pulled the car over. She rolled down the passenger window halfway. Cold rain blew in immediately. "You okay out here?" she called out. The man turned slowly, blinking through the water dripping from his brow. His voice was hoarse but calm. I got turned around. My phone died. I thought I could make it, but I am not as young as I used to be." Lila studied him. His clothes were soaked through, shoes covered in mud, but there was something dignified in the way he held himself. Not just old, but gentle, lost. She leaned over, unlocked the door, and gave a small nod. "Get in," she said quietly. "Let me take you home." He hesitated for just a moment. Then, with a slight nod of thanks, he opened the door and lowered himself into the seat. Rainwater pooled on the floor mat beneath him. Lila turned the heater up, though she knew it barely worked. The silence between them was broken only by the sound of the storm until the man spoke again, his voice a little clearer now. "You did not have to stop," he said. "I know," Lila replied, keeping her eyes on the road. "But I could not just drive past someone's grandpa melting in the rain." That earned a faint chuckle. "Walter," he said after a pause. "My name is Walter." "Lila," she responded. "And the sleeping beauty in the back is Maya." Walter turned slightly, smiling at the little girl curled up peacefully. "She reminds me of someone, long ago." They drove in silence for a few blocks before Lila asked for his address. When he gave it, her eyes widened slightly. It was in one of the most affluent neighborhoods on the edge of town. Still, she said nothing. As they approached the gated street, she followed his quiet directions until they reached a large brick home nestled behind trimmed hedges and glowing porch lights. The rain had not let up. Lila parked and glanced at the walkway. A wide puddle had formed just in front of the steps. Walter made a move to open the door. "Wait," Lila said gently. She stepped out first, dashed around the car, and opened his door for him. Then she carefully led him around the puddle, her hand under his arm to steady him. She walked him up to the front door and did not leave until she saw the lights turn on inside. Walter turned to her before stepping in. His eyes, though weary, were kind. "You never asked who I was," he said softly. Lila shrugged. Did not seem important. He smiled, deeply moved. She nodded once, then turned and walked back to her car, rain soaking her hair, the faint glow of his porch light behind her. It had been a long night, but for the first time in a while, Lila felt like she had done something right. The morning came far too soon. After getting home close to 2 a.m., Lila had only managed a few hours of restless sleep. Her bones still ached from the long shift, and the storm still echoed faintly in her ears. The soft snores of Maya in the next room were the only comforting sound as she shuffled around her small apartment, half awake. By 6:45, she was out the door again, clutching Maya's tiny hand and a pink umbrella. Maya, in her signature pink dress and matching backpack, gave her mom a sleepy smile as they walked through puddles toward the local daycare. Lila kissed her forehead, lingered a little longer than usual at the door, and then sprinted back to her car. She was already late. The diner where she worked stood on a busy corner of town, small, greasy, always a little too loud. Lila had worked there for 4 years. She knew the menu by heart, could refill coffee without looking, and had smiled through sore feet more days than she could count. She burst through the back door of the kitchen, wet hair plastered to her forehead, her uniform still damp from yesterday's storm. Her apron was bunched under one arm as she tied it in a hurry. She was 15 minutes late. "Carter!" The manager's voice snapped like a whip across the kitchen. Lila froze. Steve Simmons, the manager, was standing by the counter, arms folded tightly across his chest. His eyes were already narrowed. "I warned you," he said loudly enough for the customers to hear. "I know, I'm so sorry." Lila rushed forward, breathless. "There was this man last night. He was lost in the rain. I couldn't just—" Steve raised a hand to silence her, the corner of his mouth curling. "Save it," he said. "You think helping someone gives you a pass to stroll in whenever you like? This is a job, Carter, not a charity." She lowered her eyes. "I've never been late before. Please, it was just—" "I said save it," he barked. "You want to tell sob stories, go to church, you're done here." There was a silence. Even the sound of the sizzling griddle seemed to pause. Customers turned to look. One woman in a booth put down her fork slowly. Steve stepped forward, voice rising with theatrical flair. "You think good deeds pay bills? Lila, kindness doesn't fry eggs or clean booths. You've been warned. Get out." Her mouth parted slightly, stunned. "I've worked here 4 years." "Exactly," Steve snapped. "And in 4 years I've seen people who actually take the job seriously. Hand over your